You useless piece of shit! You absolute waste of space in there! You uneducated, ignorant, idiotic dumb swine. You're an absolute embarrassment to humanity and all life as a whole. I would say the apocalypse is upon us, but this is merely the closest word humans have for the sheer scale of horror that is now reality. The magnitude of your failure just now is so indescribably massive that 100 years into the future, your name will be used as a moniker of evil for scum like you. Even if all of humanity put together their collective intelligence, there is no conceivable way they could have thought up a way to fuck up on the unimaginable scale you just did. When Jesus died for our sins, he mustn't seem the sacrilegious act we just witnessed you perform. Because if he did, he would have forsaken humanity long ago so that your birth never happened. After you die, your skeleton will be displayed in a museum after being scientifically researched so that all future generations may learn not to generate your bone structure. Because every tiny detail anyone may have in common with you degrades them to a useless piece of trash and a burden to society. No wonder your father questioned whether or not you were truly his son. For you'd have to not be a waste of carbon matter for anyone to love you like a family member. Your birth made it so that mankind is worse of in every way you can possibly imagine, and you have made it so that society can never really recover into a state of organization. Everything has forever fallen into a bewildering chaos through which unrecognizable core you can only find misfortune. You have forever condemned everyone you love and know into an eternal state of suffering, worse than any human concept of hell. You are such an unholy being that if you step within 100-foot radius of anything holy or important, your distorted, sacrilegious soul will ruin whatever meaning it ever had beyond repair. You are a lying, backstabbing, cowardly, useless piece of shit, and I hate you with every single part of my being. Even this world's finest writers and poets from throughout the ages could never hope to accurately describe the scale on which you just fucked up and how incredibly idiotic you are. Anyone that believes in any religion out there should now realize that they have been wrong this entire time. Or if divine beings were real, they would never have allowed a being such as you to exist. In the future, there will be horror stories made about you, with the scariest part of them being that the reader has to realize that such an indescribable monster actually exists. You are the absolute embodiment of everything that has ever been wrong on this earth, yet you managed to make it so that that is only a small part of evil that is your being. Never in the history of mankind has there been anyone that could have predicted such an eldritch abomination. But here you are. It's hard to believe that I am seeing such an incredible failure with my own eyes. But here I am. I unfortunately cannot deny your existence. Even if I did my very best, my vocabulary is not able to describe the sheer magnitude of the idiotic mistake that is you. Even if time travel someday will be invented, there still would not be a single soul willing to go back in time to before this moment to fix it. Because having to witness such incredible horrors if they failed would have too many mental and physical drawbacks that not even the bravest soul in history would be willing to risk it. I cannot imagine the pure dread your mother must have felt when she had to carry a baby for 9 months and then giving birth to such a wretched monster as you. Not a single word of being coherent. A logical rambling you may be wanting to do to defend yourself or apologize would ever be able to make up for what you just did. The countries of the world would have wanted to make laws preventing such a terrible event like this from ever happening again. But sadly, this is not possible. Since your horrific actions just now have shattered every form of order this world once had, making concepts such as laws irrelevant. Right from the moment I first set my eyes on you, I knew you were an absolute abomination of everything that is wrong with humanity. I was hoping I would have been able to prevent your evil from being released upon this world by tagging along and keeping my eye on you. But it is clear to me now that not even the greatest efforts would have been able to prevent a terrible event in this scale from occurring. You are the worst human being, or even just being in general, that I have ever had the misfortune of witnessing. Events like the infected plague apparently only happened with the goal of teaching humanity to survive such a horrible event as the one you just created. But not even mankind's greatest trials were able to even slightly prepare anyone for the insufferable evil you have just created. If you ever had them, your children would be preemptively killed to protect this universe from the possibility of anyone in your bloodline being even half as bad as you are, except you will never be able to have children, because not a single human being will ever want to come within 100-mile radius of you and anything you have ever touched. You are a colossal disappointment not only to your parents, but to your ancestors and entire bloodline. The disgusting mistake that you have just made is so fucking awful that everyone who would ever be to hear about it would feel an indescribable mixture of immense anger, fear, and anxiety. The sheer scale of your mistake, if it to be materialized, would not only surpass the size of the world, but it would reach far beyond the edges of the known and almost certainly the unknown universe. I could sit here and write paragraphs, nay, books describing your immense failure. Yet even if I were to dedicate my life to describing the reality of what has just gone down here, there is not even a snowball's chance in hell that I would be able to come close to transcribing the absolute shit show you have just released upon the world. You are an irresponsible, idiotic, disgusting, unloved, horrible excuse for a living being whose soul contains less humanity than every ginger in history combined. I do not think humanity will ever truly be able to understand what your failure actually means for the universe. There is no one in this world that has ever loved you, and especially after what you just did, no one will ever love you in the future either. There is no hope that your idiotic behavior and especially your crooked soul will ever change for the better, and in fact, quite the opposite might be true. By making the mistake that you just did, you have shown me that you are so incredibly hopeless that you will only devolve into a more idiotic and wretched creature than you already are. The only possible way in which your future would be brighter than the black hole your existence currently is would exclusively be because there is absolutely no conceivable way that you would even be able to sink lower than the pathetic place your current failure has put you in.
In the almighty power, hard headlong flaming from the zero seat, with hideous ruin and combustion down, the path of this perdition better dwell in adamantine chains and penal fire. Who dares defy the omnipotent to arms, 9 times the space that measures day and night? To mortal men, he, with his horrid cruelty vanquished, rolling in the fiery gulf.